Welcome to the Anime Karib Toon Marketplace interview sessions. This year at our AC Toon Marketplace, we are pleased to offer an opportunity to have scheduled business to business sessions with Caribbean studios and content creators from our Anime Karib 2021 catalog. The aim of the business to business Anime Karib Toon Marketplace is to match the international studios with capable outsourcing studios in the region, to connect producers with Caribbean content creators, and to launch our AC animated series catalog. We're doing interviews with experts, producers, content creators, and other business professionals in the industry. And today we have Stephen Hodge with us. Hi, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good as well, yes. Loving the weather here. It's a bit rainy, so yeah.
Rain doesn't hurt.
Nope. So, Stephen, can you share with us what the impact is of OTT and how Toon Goggles is capitalizing on this?
Yeah, sure. So OTT is a
Sorry, one
you know,
second.
sorry.
I have to interrupt you. Sorry, Maria. We have to take it back one step. I skipped the introduction of Stephen. Sorry, Stephen. My apologies. I was so enthusiastic to start. All right. Maria, are you ready? All right. Here's so. Today we have Stephen Hodge with us. That's what I have already said. So I will dive into who Stephen is, right? Okay. Stephen is the CEO and co-founder of Toon Goggles, an on-demand entertainment service for children that has the largest variety of animated and live-action shows, games, radios, and 4K streaming video available worldwide. And the catch here is that it's kid-safe and parent-friendly content. He's also the co-CEO of OTT Era or Utera, which offers fully white labeled OTT entertainment services. Stephen has spearheaded the children's content platform, Toon Goggles, from its launch to its global distribution across every major consumer electronic device today. And he has led his team in overall strategies for content licensing, business development, and monetization. Hi, Stephen. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I hope you're doing well also.
I'm doing fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's dive in right to it. Can you share with us what the impact is of OTT and how Toon Goggles is capitalizing on this?
The impact of OTT is it's quite significant. OTT allows for content to be delivered and consumed over the top, which allows for content owners, producers, studios, publishers to create their own services and deliver those directly to the end consumer without having to go through a middleman or through a cable provider. Um, so the way that we are taking advantage of it, or way that we took advantage of it at this point, is very early on we saw what this market was going to be, and we very significantly on impact of connected TVs and set-top box devices and cable operators needing to also incorporate those technologies into their set boxes in order to keep up with the industry. And we quickly placed ourselves across all of those devices worldwide. And that gave us an immediate audience amongst applications that at that point in time were not catering to children. And that gave us a global dominance in that sense. And to the point where now there are other children's services in this space, but being that we were very early and already had a certain amount of market penetration, we still are one of the largest and definitely a very relevant children's service globally in this space. And the impact of OTT was significant for that, and it's also led into to other opportunities in OTT. Kind of a new branch has been FAST, which stands for Free Ad-Supported Streaming TV, which is essentially very similar to a broadcast channel. The only difference is that it's scheduled and delivered over IP. So essentially, you're scheduling VOD assets, and you can still cut in live if that is something that a service is looking to do. But it's a VOD playlist that's scheduled at certain times and can be delivered directly to connected TV, directly to set-top boxes, and even in these days, because of where technology is, these same feeds can be delivered to traditional cable set-top boxes. So it's a very interesting space to be in. It's all stemming from the same OTT, but essentially technology is moving into this space where broadcast channels and play out as we know it, all consumption is going to be happening across some type of an OTT medium. And it really levels the playing field, because at this point now, any producer with a lot of content or with a library or distributor can essentially deliver and create their own OTT platform or create their own fast channel and deliver that directly to consumers at home.
Okay, and if we look at delivery of content to the consumers at home, I heard you speaking about original content earlier in another interview or so. I heard you talking about original content development. Can you elaborate on this with regards to business development? Because how does this imply that?
Well, original content always adds, an extra amount of appeal to any OTT service, because there's obviously content that a viewer will be able to find on your service that they won't be able to find on other services. So while there may be some content that is able to be licensed to Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and other platforms, whatever can be originally tied to you that's popular creates more appeal for your individual service. And from a business development standpoint, the platforms that OTT applications are residing on, they choose to promote you based upon you having original content that can't be found elsewhere. So anytime you have original content, that's something that becomes added value to platforms looking to promote you, as well as original content can be a great way to penetrate new markets. For example, if you're looking to reach children in South Africa, and being able to partner with South African companies or being able to utilize South African influencers, that's something that the viewers can relate to, and it gives you a unique appeal for your individual service. So we found original content to work very well for us, or at least influencers to work very well for us in our global development and reaching different territories.
Okay, and as I hear you speaking about your global reach and how you're living worldwide, you're originally from the Caribbean, and being from the Caribbean and being so successful globally, it really speaks to our audience in a positive way. Like, everyone wants to know how you can get there. And can you share your experience on this journey and some takeaways for aspiring creators who have content that they want to sell or want to license?
Sure. I think for me, growing up in Anguilla, which is a very, very small island in the Caribbean, the population of less than 15,000 people, it was always interesting, especially because I was born in Los Angeles and then spent my high school years on the island. And one of the things that stood out to me immediately upon beginning to live there was that the entire society was run by local people, Black people, which is something that um, I wasn't accustomed to seeing. You know, see all of the teachers in the high school be ethnic, and the government and police. I mean, that was just a different thing to see, and because of that, also I saw that all the majority of the local businesses were also Black owned in those countries. Um, Black is obviously not the minority, and I think that that in itself allowed for me, and I've seen many others of my peers have been able to leave the island. Because one of the also things about the a small island is that you almost feel like you have to leave in order to reach any kind of newfound success, because there's not enough of an audience on the island to really sustain most entrepreneurial businesses, right? So upon leaving, that entrepreneurial mentality, it continued to grow strong, and I guess it developed it helped for me and others to develop a sense of fearlessness when approaching the markets. And I think that at the end of the day, that's that's what is most important came and that comes out of growing up in those territories is the fearlessness and that drive to be successful at whatever the cost may be. So from an international standpoint, one of the benefits that I've had is that I've been able to feel comfortable in any room that I'm in. Um, I've been able to feel comfortable in any room that I'm in, and I've been able to spark conversation with any person. And I've always been very headstrong and very aware and confident around my ideas and my visions. And I think that from an animator standpoint, uh, the same mindset needs to go into approaching any kind of opportunities in that field, where you have to remain very confident and focused in whatever it is that you're doing, and recognize that in the broader world you may be the minority, but you're coming from countries and territories that are filled with you as a majority. And when stepping out into the world, if you keep that mentality and you understand that your voice deserves to be heard just as much as any others, and your opinions and your values and your vision needs to be shared, as long as you can be an evangelist for yourself, I think that you definitely have the potential to reach far and wide in this world, because if you have something to say, there will always be people that are willing to listen. So
I think that's a very good takeaway. If you have something to say, there will be always people who are willing to listen. Um, when we're talking about licensing content, and you know what the Caribbean has to offer, we're like this. We have all these cultures and we have the stories, and some of the stories are already out there, but most of them are still hidden somewhere out. But if you look at licensing content, what could you say is for us as a potential there? Because we have all these cultures and stories. And also, what are some of the steps that we need to take before our content can be, let's say, qualitative, good enough to be licensed?
um, well, the Caribbean has a lot of stories. I mean, there are a lot of mythologies and different stories that are passed down amongst different cultures throughout the Caribbean, and I think that uh, creating a collection of those stories, and then finding ways to relate that to the way children are consuming content today, whether that's you know utilizing certain types of characters, whether it's animals or colorful characters, diverse casting. But I think the stories have been told for generations and generations and generations already, and I think that the key is to finding ways to bridge those stories with the type of animation and characters of today that are popular amongst youths. Um, from an animation standpoint, the animation that I've seen coming out of the Caribbean has been top notch, and I'm aware of quite a few studios that utilize Caribbean animation studios for outsourcing. The only limitation has really been um, speed of production because of the limited number of animators that are available in the studios, but the production quality has been good. So I think that more than anything else, there really needs to be a focus on producing that content and producing enough of that content for it to be licensed. I find, from my perspective, a lot of the Caribbean animation just doesn't have enough episodes available to be licensed by the major platforms. Smaller platforms, of course, YouTube will take one episode. But if you're looking to be licensed by a Netflix or others, uh, there needs to be more episodes, and they're not often looking to commission the episode. So there's going to be some element of risk involved of creating a full series and then beginning to pitch and sell that, and that's going to require betting on yourself, betting on your company, and a lot of strong belief in the power of your storytelling. But I do believe that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of great Caribbean storytellers, and there's wonderful animation coming out of the Caribbean. So there just needs to be something that can be sold. Something has to be created so that it can be sold. Once we get to that point, I think there's going to be a bright future for Caribbean animation in general.
So you're saying we just have to take the risk and invest in ourselves and create more of that sort of the stories that we have, which is already on a good quality level, right?
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
and when you before you said that, you mentioned if we focus on or if we look at the way children are consuming content. And I know you have a lot of experience with this because TG is so big and it's growing. I think it's one of the hardest growing platforms for child-friendly content, right?
Correct. Yes.
Can you give us some tips, like if studios in the Caribbean are creating stories for or content for children, what they should look at, and some tips and also some myths, because sometimes we have an understanding of that it will be a certain way, but then that's not the reality. But having you with all this experience and expertise, can you share that with us?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the misconceptions is that the traditions in the content space that existed, 5 or 10 years ago, still exist today. So there's this popular, idea that episodes need to be 22 minutes in length and have 26 episodes, et cetera, or 52 episodes, et cetera, et cetera. And at this point, that couldn't even be further from the truth, because of the fact that the way that kids are consuming content, um, much of it is short form, and we see that evident in the fact that TikTok is so huge. Short form videos on YouTube do so phenomenally well. Um, and then, of course, there are other platforms that kids aren't even supposed to be on, but they're short form platforms that they're consuming content on. So really, right now, short form content is probably one of the most appealing formats that you could focus on. 3 minute, 4 minute length episodes, um, that can be combined if you were commissioned to sell to a traditional 11-minute or a 22-minute format. But short form content has a much wider range of appeal, especially across OTT platforms, across devices like Roku, Samsung, and as well as it's content that can still be licensed to the Cartoon Networks and the Nickelodeons, et cetera, if they see if they see fit. But also, it becomes something that if a Netflix or others were to see it and think that this would do well as a longer form show, they could commission that as well. So, as an example, uh, a popular animated series that Toon was licensed very early on as a short form was later picked up by Netflix, and Netflix actually invested in original content with them, and that was Storybots. And another one of the same example was Yoo and Friends. But Storybots, as an example, started with short form content, and then when they did their deal with YouTube, they had more longer form series, but that was commissioned by YouTube. But based upon its popularity across, sorry, not by YouTube, but by Netflix. But that was based upon its popularity on YouTube and on Toon Goggles and on other platforms. And Netflix was able to uh, commission that into a longer form series and specials that ended up on Netflix Kids. So, the opportunities are very strong in short form content, and I feel like there's more of an ability to license and distribute that than there is with longer form content for children right now.
Okay, well, that's refreshing to know because, yeah, indeed, we always think that we should create, yeah, longer episodes, and then it takes a lot of time and resources before we finish that up. But yeah, this is really helpful information. I'm curious because we also have students who will be watching these later on. And do you have some advice for young people who would like to get into production and animation, or who already have something but they want, to sell it across the Caribbean, but also out of the Caribbean? Can you give some advice or tips?
Um, the best tip that I could give is would be to network and find a mentor and find people that have done what it is that you're looking to do and get advice from them directly and potentially work your way into their circles where you can meet the people that they work with and they network with in order to gain either the financing for their projects or the distribution for their projects or the studio partnerships, the co-production partnerships for their projects. But most importantly, this business and many businesses operate based on who you know. And if you're looking to get into this space, you can be intimidated by that. But the fact is, you can meet these people and you can become friendly with them. And not nobody was born knowing everybody. So you can begin to meet and I think that's probably the biggest thing that gets lost in this business is that it's very much friendship and relationship driven. So you need to build that foundation of a network of people that you can talk to, people that you can reach out to and ask a question or look for an action that you can discuss your problems with, the people that you can discuss your visions with that can help you shape those. But more importantly, the best advice would be to begin to network and find a mentor or mentors that will help you that'll help guide you through your journey as an animator, producer, distributor, whatever the case may be.
Yes, Stephen. Um, Now that you are so widely spread and you know what the Caribbean has to offer, what is it in particular that you are looking when you are speaking with these studios, or when you are speaking with talents from the Caribbean? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I'm looking for ready-made content. At least one of the benefits with me is that I don't have a minimum on content length or number of episodes, but I'm looking for ready-made content that's reaching, uh, I would say, preschool to 6 to 12. Um, that's appealing. That tells a unique story. So I'm open to whatever can be presented. We're always looking, and I would love nothing more than to highlight more content from West Indian creators. So uh, keep me in mind, keep Toon Goggles in mind, keep Otera in mind, and happy to continue to explore opportunities to work with Caribbean production companies.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being here with us. Do you have as a closing, a final message for our studios and content creators, producers in the Caribbean?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what I said earlier, continue to follow your vision, stay strong. Um, don't be afraid to reach out and make friends and build and also create your own community in this industry as well. But just stay on track and continue to push forward. And I think that as long as you have a goal in mind and you're consistent, um, the time will come for you to have that opportunity to either deliver to the major or to create your own platform. And I think that that's something that behind the scenes, that's the biggest thing, is that the Caribbean has enough of a large enough diaspora to really build its own industry and have its own network and have its own channels. And that's what I would like to see eventually. Anyway, I would like to see the Caribbean really focus on creating content for itself, as opposed to focusing on what it can do for the world. I think they should create its own industry locally first, because the diaspora is large enough, and it's not being properly addressed. So I think that it's really important for Caribbean kids to see more programming that looks and feels and sounds like them, and that kind of a channel is lacking right now. So I'd like to be a part of that, but more than anything else, I just think that everyone needs to continue to build, because the work is there, the quality is there. It just needs to be seen. So let's collectively work to see if we can make that happen.
Wow, that's a strong message, and yes, we will definitely follow up with you for more content and more inspiration. And we want to thank you that you have taken the time to be here with us, and we're looking forward to seeing you online during the Anime Carib Festival. Thank you so
Excellent,
much.
excellent, and maybe next year in person.
In person, yes, that would be great. Thank
All
you for
right, take
being
care.
here. Thank you.
Bye bye.